My girlfriend's friend texted me. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but she's seeing someone else behind your back. I replied, thanks. I'll handle it. The next day, I changed my flight and came home unannounced. The door opened. She was laughing with someone. And when I saw who it was, everything changed. I'm Daniel, 32, and I'd been dating Sophie for 3 years. We met at a friend's birthday party, connected over our shared love of terrible horror movies, and pretty much became inseparable after that. She was spontaneous where I was cautious, creative where I was practical. We balanced each other out, or so I thought. I travel for work occasionally, usually just a week or two at a time for training sessions or client meetings. This particular trip was to Denver for a 2-week conference and some follow-up meetings. I'd left on a Monday morning in late September, kissed Sophie goodbye at our apartment, and promised to call every night. The text came on Thursday evening of the first week. I was in my hotel room going over presentation notes when my phone buzzed. Unknown number, local area code. Hi Daniel, this is Emma, Sophie's friend from yoga. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but she's seeing someone else behind your back. I thought you should know. I'm sorry. I stared at the message for a solid minute. Emma. I'd met her maybe twice, both times briefly when picking Sophie up from class. Quiet, seemed nice enough, but we'd never exchanged numbers or really had a conversation beyond basic pleasantries. My first instinct was to call Sophie immediately, but something stopped me. If this was true, calling her would just give her time to prepare a story. If it wasn't true, well, I still wanted to understand why Emma would send this. I texted back, thanks, I'll handle it. Then I called the airline and changed my flight from the following Friday to tomorrow morning. It cost me an extra $300 and I'd missed the last 2 days of the conference. But I didn't care. I needed to know. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept thinking about the past few weeks before I left. Had there been signs? Sophie had been on her phone more than usual, but she was always on her phone. She'd gone out with friends a few times, but that was normal for her. She'd seemed distant maybe, but I'd attributed it to stress from her job. Or maybe I'd just been willfully blind. The flight home Friday morning felt endless. I landed around 2 in the afternoon, took a rideshare straight to our apartment building. My hands were shaking as I rode the elevator up to the 4th floor. I could hear voices before I even got to the door. Laughter. Sophie's distinctive laugh, the one that always made me smile, mixed with another voice. Male voice. I stood there for a second, key in hand, trying to steady my breathing. Then I unlocked the door and pushed it open. Sophie was on the couch, wearing my favorite sweater of hers, her feet tucked under her. Sitting next to her, close enough that their shoulders were touching, was a guy I'd never seen before. He was maybe my age, dressed casually in jeans and a button-down, holding a glass of what looked like wine. They both turned when the door opened. Sophie's face went from surprise to confusion to something that looked like panic in about 2 seconds. Daniel? She stood up quickly, nearly knocking over her own wine glass on the coffee table. What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be back until next week. Clearly, I said, closing the door behind me. I looked at the guy on the couch. And you are? He stood up too, looking uncomfortable. I'm Blake. He's my friend, Sophie jumped in. From work. I told you about Blake. She hadn't. I'd never heard that name before in my life. Did you? I kept my voice calm, even though my heart was hammering. Because I don't remember you mentioning a Blake. I definitely don't remember you mentioning hanging out with Blake alone in our apartment while I'm out of town. It's not like that, Sophie said, but her voice had this edge to it. We were just having lunch and talking about a project. Blake, maybe you should go. Blake looked between us, clearly trying to calculate the least awkward exit. Yeah, I should head out. Nice meeting you, Daniel. I'm sure it was, I said flatly. He grabbed his jacket from the back of the couch and left quickly. After the door closed behind him, Sophie and I just stood there looking at each other. "Why are you really home?" she asked. "I got a text from Emma. Your friend from yoga. She said you were seeing someone behind my back." Sophie's face flushed red. "Emma texted you?" She had no right. That's not. She doesn't know what she's talking about. "So you're not seeing Blake?" "No. We work together. We're friends. That's it." "Friends who hang out alone in your apartment while your boyfriend's out of town?" It's not weird for coworkers to be friends, Daniel. It is when you've never mentioned him before. It is when you look panicked that I came home early. She sat back down on the couch, running her hands through her hair. "You're being paranoid." "Am I?" "Then why did Emma think you were cheating?" "I don't know. Maybe she misunderstood something. Maybe she's jealous or trying to cause problems. You know how women can be with that stuff." That phrase hit me wrong. How women can be? You know what I mean. Drama. Reading into things that aren't there. I walked over to the coffee table. 2 wine glasses, both half empty. A takeout container from that Thai place Sophie loved. 2 sets of chopsticks. "How long has he been here?" I asked. "An hour, maybe. We got lunch and came back to go over some work stuff." "Where's the work stuff?" She hesitated. "What?" "If you were working on a project, where are the laptops?" "The papers? The work stuff?" She didn't have an answer for that. I pulled out my phone and called Emma. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Emma? It's Daniel. We need to talk. Can you tell me exactly what you saw?" Sophie was saying something, trying to grab my phone, but I stepped away from her. Emma's voice was quiet but steady. "I saw them together at that coffee shop on Maple Street. Tuesday afternoon. They were holding hands across the table. At first I thought maybe I was wrong, maybe it was someone who looked like Sophie, but then she kissed him. Just a quick kiss, but it was definitely her. My stomach turned over. Tuesday. I'm sorry, Daniel. I went back and forth about telling you, but I'd want to know if I were in your position. Thank you, I managed. I appreciate it. I hung up. Sophie was staring at me, and I could see her trying to figure out what to say next. She saw you Tuesday, at the coffee shop on Maple, holding hands with Blake, kissing him. Sophie's face crumbled. Daniel, don't, I said. Don't lie to me anymore. Just tell me the truth. Update 1. She cried. A lot. Then she tried to explain, which somehow made it worse. Blake was a new hire at her company, started about 2 months ago. They'd been assigned to the same project team. He was funny, charming, paid attention to her in a way she said I didn't anymore. They'd started getting coffee after meetings, then lunch, then drinks after work. Nothing physical happened until last week, she said, like that made it better. It was just emotional before that. Just emotional, I repeated. You started an entire relationship with someone else, and you want me to feel better because you only physically cheated last week? I didn't mean for it to happen. I was confused. You're gone so much for work, and when you're home, you're always tired or distracted. Blake made me feel seen. So this is my fault? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there were problems in our relationship, and instead of dealing with them, I made a terrible mistake. Multiple mistakes, I corrected. This wasn't one mistake. This was weeks of choices. Weeks of lying to me every single day. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. Can we fix this? She asked. Please, Daniel. I love you. I want to fix this. Do you love me? Or are you just afraid of being alone? She didn't answer that. I went into our bedroom and started packing a bag. Sophie followed me, still crying, still trying to get me to stay and talk. I packed enough clothes for a week, grabbed my toiletries, unplugged my laptop. Where are you going? My brother's place. I need space to think. For how long? I don't know, Sophie. I don't know anything right now except that I can't be here. I called my brother Chris on the drive over. He said I could stay as long as I needed, asked if I wanted to talk about it. I said not yet. That night, lying on Chris's couch, I went through my phone, looked at pictures of Sophie and me from the past 3 years. Vacations, dinners, lazy Sunday mornings. Had she been unhappy the whole time? Had I really been that absent? My phone buzzed around 11. Text from Sophie. "I'm so sorry. Please come home so we can talk properly." I didn't respond. Another text an hour later. "I ended things with Blake. Told him it was a mistake and I want to work on my relationship. Please give me a chance to make this right." I turned off my phone and tried to sleep. Update 2. The next few days were a blur. I took off work, told my boss I had a family emergency. Sophie texted constantly. Apologies, explanations, promises to do better. I read them all, but rarely responded. Chris finally made me sit down and talk on Monday night. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I don't know." "Do you want to try to work it out?" "I don't know that either." Part of me wants to, because we had 3 good years together. But how do I trust her again? How do I not wonder every time I travel for work if she's with someone else? Those are the questions you need to answer before you make any decisions. Emma texted me again on Tuesday. I heard from Sophie. She's really upset. "I just want you to know that I didn't tell you to break you guys up. I told you because I'd want someone to tell me. I hope you're okay." I thanked her and asked if we could meet for coffee. She agreed. We met Wednesday afternoon at a place far from our neighborhood. Emma was even quieter in person than I remembered, clearly uncomfortable with the whole situation. "How much did you see?" I asked. "The whole truth." She took a breath. "I saw them together 4 times over 2 weeks, always at that coffee shop. They looked like a couple. The hand-holding, the way they leaned into each other, the laughing. And then the kiss on Tuesday. That's when I knew I had to tell you." "Did Sophie know you saw her?" "I don't think so. I was at a table in the back. I left before they did." "Why tell me at all?" "You barely know me." "Because it was the right thing to do. And because I know what it's like to be cheated on and have everyone around you know except you. It's humiliating. You deserve to know." I appreciated her honesty. We talked for another hour. She told me about her own experience with infidelity, how she'd wished someone had told her sooner. I told her about the past few days, the confusion, the anger, the betrayal. "Do you think I should try to work it out with her?" I asked. "That's not my call," Emma said, "but I'll tell you this. When my ex cheated, everyone told me to give him another chance, that people make mistakes, that relationships are worth fighting for. So I did. And he cheated again 6 months later with someone else. You think Sophie will do it again? I think once someone proves they're capable of sustained deception, not just one drunken mistake, but weeks of deliberate lies, that tells you something about their character. That conversation stuck with me. Update 3. Sophie called me Thursday night. Not a text, an actual call. I almost didn't answer, but I figured we'd have to talk eventually. "Daniel, please. I need to see you. Please come home so we can talk face to face." I don't know if I'm ready for that. It's been almost a week. You can't avoid me forever. This is our apartment, our life together. We need to deal with this. She was right about that. Fine. Tomorrow night. 7 o'clock. When I got to the apartment Friday evening, Sophie had clearly been preparing. She'd cleaned everything. There were fresh flowers on the table. She'd cooked dinner, my favorite, chicken parmesan. "I wanted to do something nice," she said, "to show you I'm serious about fixing this." We sat down to eat. It was awkward, painful. She apologized again, promised it would never happen again, suggested couples counseling. "I'll do whatever it takes," she said. "Delete Blake's number. Quit my job if I have to. Anything." That's not the point, Sophie. Then what is the point? The point is that you made a choice. Every day for 2 months, you chose him. You chose to lie to me. And the only reason it stopped is because you got caught. That's not fair. I ended it with him before you even came home. Because Emma told me. If she hadn't, how long would it have gone on? She didn't have an answer for that. Here's what I keep coming back to, I said. You said I was always gone or tired or distracted. Maybe that's true. Maybe I wasn't the perfect boyfriend. But instead of talking to me about it, instead of saying, hey, I feel disconnected, we need to work on this, you started a relationship with someone else. That's not a mistake. That's a choice about how you handle problems. People make mistakes when they're unhappy, and then they face consequences for those mistakes. Sophie's face fell. Are you breaking up with me? I think I am. She started crying again. Please don't. Please, Daniel. I love you. I'll prove it to you every day if you give me the chance. I believe you love me, but I don't trust you, and I don't think I can get that trust back. I stood up. I'll come by this weekend to pack my stuff. The lease is in both our names, but I'll transfer my half to you if you want to stay. Or we can both leave and break it. Whatever you want. I don't want any of that. I want us. I know, but I can't give you that anymore. I left before she could say anything else. Final update. It's been 3 months now. I moved into my own place in November, a smaller apartment across town, but it's mine, and there are no memories attached to it. The breakup was cleaner than I expected. Sophie didn't fight me on the logistics. We split everything fairly, said our goodbyes, and that was it. I found out through mutual friends that Sophie and Blake did end up together officially. Apparently, she'd said they couldn't help how they felt, and decided to give it a real shot once I was out of the picture. I don't know if they're still together, and honestly, I don't care. Emma and I stayed in touch. Nothing romantic. We're just friends who bonded over a weird situation. She checks in occasionally to see how I'm doing. I appreciate it. Chris asked me last week if I regretted the decision to end things with Sophie. No, I said. I regret the time wasted, but not the decision. She showed me who she was when things got hard. I'm glad I learned that before we got married or had kids or built an even bigger life together. The thing about betrayal is that it clarifies things. Before Emma's text, I might have proposed to Sophie eventually. I might have spent years with someone who wasn't fully committed, who looked for exits when things weren't perfect. Now I know better. I've been on a few dates, nothing serious yet, but I'm not in a rush. I'm learning to trust my instincts again, to see red flags I might have ignored before. I'm learning that being alone is better than being with someone who makes you feel alone. Sophie texted me last week. Just a simple, I hope you're doing well. I think about you sometimes. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. I'm doing well. Better than well, actually. I'm rebuilding my life on my own terms, with people who value honesty and loyalty. The conference I missed? My boss was understanding and I made up the work. My career's fine, my family's supportive, my friends have been great, and every morning I wake up in my own apartment, make my own coffee, and don't have to wonder if the person I love is lying to me. That's worth more than I can put into words.